Hello students, today we will discuss the character sketch of Yank, the major character of the play The Hairy Ape. Yank is a fireman who works aboard transatlantic liner. His real name was Bob Smith and he was born in New York City. Young does not reveal many details of his family history, but from what he does say, it is clear that it was painful. His mother died of the tremens, and his father, a shore worker, was abusive. Young tells Long that on Saturday nights his parents' fighting was so intense that his parents would break the furniture. Ironically, his parents made him attend church every Sunday morning. After his mother died, Young ran away from home, tired of lickings and punishments. In the beginning of the hairy ape, Young seems fairly content, as if not proud to be a fireman. He defends the ship as his home and insists that the work he does is vital. It is the force that makes the ship go 24 knots an hour. Mildred Douglas' reaction to Yank is the catalyst which makes Yank come to class awareness. His attempt to get revenge on Mildred Douglas widens to revenge on the steel industry and finally the entire bourgeoisie. Throughout this struggle, Young defines belongingness as power. When he thinks he belongs to something, he gains strength. When Young is rejected by a group, he is terribly weak. However, Young is rejected by all facets of society. His fellow firemen, Mildred, the street goers of Fifth Avenue, the IIW, and finally the ape in the Jew. Young symbolizes the struggle of modern man within industrial society. He cannot break class or ideological barriers nor create new ones. Young is outsider and eventually just the freak at the Jew. For people to cage and point at Young, the protagonist of the play, the hairy ape, is a humble stoker whose business it is to shovel coal into the furnace of the ship's engine. For long hours, he has to work in the cramped and low-roofed stockhole. He is beastly, filthy, and coarse. He cannot think. He can use only physical force. But he has a sense of identity and sense of belonging to the ship. He is superior to the other stokers in the sense that he is physically more powerful than the rest. He has ape-like physical strength and ape-like grossness. He is illusion, obsessed and isolated. He identifies himself with the hairy ape. He is a tragic hero because he suffers a tragic end. He is also a symbol. Young has a strong sense of belonging. He thinks that he belongs to the ship and he is a vital part of the ship. He says to Paddy, his fellow stoker, that he belongs while Paddy does not belong, in a forceful speech showing his self-confidence and feeling of security. He exclaims, "Sure, I'm part of the engines. Why the hell not they move? Don't they? They are speed, and they? It's me make this hot. It's make me it roar. It makes me it move. Surely only for me everything stops. I'm steam and oil for the engines. I'm smoking and express train." Yank is illusion because he does not realize that he is owned and controlled. Wainin, who owned the steel and the great material progress, has been achieved at the cost of the spiritual values. Yank is physically strong like an ape. An ape is the embodiment of physical strength and primitive simplicity. It has little brains but a lot of sinews and muscles. It is incapable of thought and knows only the use of physical force, by which it can cause great destruction. It is exactly these qualities which Yank has. He is hairy chested with long arms of tremendous power. He is broader, fierce, and more powerful than the other stokers. Indeed, he and his companions crouching in the stockhole remind one of the pictures of the primitive Neanderthal man. Young has great capacity for work. He can work for long hours unfatigued and can inhale smoke and coal unaffected. Like the hairy ape, he has immense physical strength and great capacity for destruction. Young has ape-like grossness. In the beginning, we find that he is quite in harmony with his work, quite confident of himself and proud of his superior strength. As he says again and again, he belongs while Paddy, Long, and other stokers do not belong. However, his confident sense of belongingness is soon shattered. Mildred Douglas, a student of sociology, comes down into the forecastle at a time when Yank is murderously flourishing his shovel above the head and shouting and cursing and pounding his chest with the other hand. Gorilla like, the impact of his abysmal brutality, naked and shameless, is too much for her. As she faints, she calls him the filthy beast, and as Yank is told later, she looks at him as if were a hairy ape. Escaped from the Jew, Yank feels insulted in the very heart of his pride. Till the very end of his day, Yank is able to forget neither the spectacle of the girl in white looking at him with terror in her eyes, nor the way in which he had been insulted. Yank is a man with an obsession with the thought that he is a hairy ape. Throughout the play, he broods and broods over the words hairy ape used for him. Desire for revenge burns hot in his heart. He must get even with her. He doesn't shave or clean himself. More and more, he comes to look like a hairy ape. His desire for revenge carries him to the Fifth Avenue. Not finding Mildred, he attacks some people. Then he tries to plug the street carving and next tries to pull off a lamp post to use it as a club. He strikes his fist forcefully in the face of a fat man rushing to catch a bus. In short, he behaves thoughtlessly like a hairy ape. As a result, he is arrested and is sent to jail. In the prison, he thinks that he is the hairy ape imprisoned in a cage. Yank is isolated and alienated. His sense of belongingness is shattered when Mildred Douglas, the daughter of a steel tycoon, throws the remark, the filthy beast, at Yank. Later on, Paddy, a fellow stalker, told him that she looked as if she had seen a great hairy ape escape from the Jew. Yank feels utterly insulted and loses his sense of belonging. He attempts to take revenge on the girl, but he cannot find her. Not finding her, he attacks some people and is taken to prison. When he is released from prison, he goes to the IWW where he is rejected and ejected out of the office. Then he goes to the Jew and visits a gorilla and tries to better befriend him. But the gorilla also rejects him and kills him. He is neither accepted in human society nor in the animal society. He is utterly lonely. Yank is, besides being a tragic hero, a symbol which has many-sided significance. In order to understand why or how Yank is a symbol, it is necessary to understand the nature of a symbol and how or what does function as a symbol. Simply expressed, a symbol means anything that stands for something else. Coleridge's definition of symbol seems to be most appropriate in exemplifying the symbolic significance of the character Yank in the hairy ape. Coleridge defines symbol as something characterized by a translucence of the special in the individual. Yank is an individual character in the play, but in him we get a translucence of the special. That means he does not remain an individual, but his individuality spreads over a class, a species of people. It stands for every man in the sense that what happens to Yank's life is happening to the millions of men in the modern age, dominated by science and technology. Yank also stands as a symbol for the decay and degeneration of the spiritual and intellectual values in an extremely materialized age. His terrible, frightful end, his death at the hands of a horrifying ape, contribute to this symbolic function of Yank. Yank is a symbol also of an isolated and alienated proletariat, dehumanized in an industrialized urban civilization all over the world. He is the symbol of a typical modern man brutalized by machinery and industry and reduced to a Neanderthal man through a regress due to mechanization. Yank, the protagonist of the play, is a successful creation of the dramatist's artistic vision. Thank you. And now you have to write a character sketch of Yank.